All right, I am ready. I'm ready, ready, ready.
Right. Well, we want to welcome everybody to this incredible day. I think some of us, including myself, we're so used to the time slot being at 12 noon Eastern. That's my bad. I messed up on that. I apologize to everybody. We would have had this figured out sooner. But want to welcome everybody here today. We just got off of a program called Journey. Those of us who are out there in Arizona, Scottsdale, oh my goodness, what an incredible time we had. I could go on and on and on, but I know we're running late, so I'm going to jump right into it. We're honored and blessed to have with us Mr. Micah Thaird. Without Micah, none of us would be here right now. The dream, the vision, the persistence, the overcoming of obstacles, the beating the adversities that continuously seem to get in our way, and then all of a sudden, wow, everything we hoped for, everything we thought could happen. We're at a point where it's exceeded our expectations. And we are so thrilled and honored. Mike, I greatly appreciate you and all you do. So at this point in time, just want to turn the call over to you. Take it away, Mr. Micah Thaird.
All right, thank you so much, Ed. And hey, listen, I mean, without any of us, none of us would be here. We're all doing this, we're all doing this together. I know everyone out in the field, every phone call you've made or the money you worked for to invest into your assets, every contribution has made this company rise into something very, very unique and special. And today I'm going to share, and it's a little bit of what I believe is the proper way to do this is to sort of give people a um, small education in regards to the subject, because we all know about this stuff because we've been through credit checks maybe our whole life, but do we really know what it is from the standpoint of the business of this, So we could say that this is the business of the data, um, and how to structure that data. And there's things that are involved in this that have a significance that can make the difference between high profits, uh, mediocre profits, and sometimes losses. It's all in how you evaluate how much risk a person poses to the company or institution that wants to be in a business of giving a loan, giving credit to people. And because we are not on the side of that business until now, it doesn't really matter to us. We just sort of do the thing, like we'll make a fill out a form to apply for say a credit card or a car loan or mortgage, and then we'll either get, excellent news, I've been approved for cards, and it comes back and they're like $30,000 credit. And I'm like, what? And then I've been through the experience of asking for a card, and then they just say, no, you can't get one. And it's that data that gets transferred that makes the difference. So when I first met Hakan, I was learning about his past and what he had done in his career. And it started in England with basically securing locations for ATMs, and then from there he took that entire concept and brought it over to Turkey. And his first uh, business in Turkey was to create a similar type of a ATM infrastructure in Turkey, and he managed to do that. And he negotiated with all the banks to create a network, a new platform for them to do these ATM transactions on. And that was kind of his doing. And then from there, he got into what he told me at the time. He got into data analytics. I was like, okay, analyze data. Okay, so what's that about? I didn't know. And he said, well, there was this time where Turkey decided that they weren't allowing people to buy, white goods and computers on credit cards. They made it against the law. And I don't know exactly what the reason was for that, but he said then I was looking for a way to get around and to create a way for people to be able to, again, make payments on, laptops and whatever have you, phones or whatever those items that were restricted. And when I did that, I looked at how a person would be able to qualify for, whether that it be a $500 credit or $1,000 credit, and how that data was analyzed. And I found ways to get better results. So what are the different factors? One of the factors is when you give a loan to someone, what is the factor of that person paying the money back? So there's a percentage out of 100 that people just fail to pay their debt. And when that happens, that account that is failed, it goes into kind of a sell-off. The initial institution that did it, they don't want to deal with collections, so they sell it to a company, and that's what that company does. They go in to get the money from the person, so they're the ones that are, maybe calling and harassing people to get the money. And then they charge a premium, so there's penalties. So they make money by buying these accounts. Then you'll have a company that insures that particular loan. So they'll pay the difference between what the company who buys the bad debt and the company that insures the loan. So then that's satisfied. But what you're looking for is to have the least amount of NPLs, non-performing loans, as possible. And you want to try to help increase the amount of people who qualify, but those people need to be a better candidate for receiving the credit. And how can achieve that? By re-examining or examining how that process happened. And when he did it, he improved the delta by over a percentage points, which when you're dealing with millions or hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, it increases the amount of profit that the companies make. So while he was there, he learned all there was to know about that whole industry, the data industry, the credit industry. And when you look nowadays at how companies are acquired, many companies that are sold and acquired in various industries, the top reason that they acquire them is because of the data that they hold. And they say now that data is more valuable than turnover a lot of times. You have a 30 multiple or higher in some of these acquisitions because it's that customer base that company holds, and how much information they have about the customer is worth a lot of money to other companies. So so he was really, really immersed in that industry, and through those years, he learned it and understood it. And then, he met some people in the industry, and it was always part of what Miracle was going to be um, in the future. And one of the bigger reasons that I actually got started or got involved with Hakan was because of a product that we're planning to launch very soon that's called Miracle with Installments. And it's being able to get tokens today and make payments um, on those tokens over a period of time. So I get tokens today, like $1,000 worth, and then I can pay for those tokens on a purchase contract over maybe the next 12 months. And that mimics what a lot of banks do. They call it a loan, but because you get tokens, it's a product, but that product can be liquidated, instantly. And you can take that product and trade it for, say, an iPhone, or you can trade it for fiat currency if you want. So it's a very interesting thing. And what Hakan was saying to me, he said, for the masses to adopt crypto, you need something that moves them into it in a natural way, a way that the consumer truly cares about. And if you look at crypto, it's an exciting industry, and it's evolving in different speeds in different nations. Nations that have a lot of restrictions, maybe they have weak currency. It grows much faster there. Maybe it's growing really fast in communities that are unbanked traditionally. So when they get to have actual digital money, that takes off much faster. But I think in the Western world, it's sort of like a lot of people have been speculating, buying coins, so that they can sell them at a higher price in the future. And then others are trading in crypto. And then you have a lot of tech people. But for the mainstream person to get engaged, it takes something that they need and want, and are really pushed, not pushed, but it's helping them get something that they actually need. And so when you look at this combination of things, it's that at the time when I'm in a store and I'm looking to get a new phone, and I'm like, I have $500, but I want, like, boom, I want the best one. I want the newest one. Our lives revolve around the phone, and I have 500, but it's $1,200 for that one. Then the clerk goes, well, you can get that if you fill this form out, and there might be some credit extended to you, and then you can take payments on the rest of the money, on the 700 that you don't have. Just make payments over the 12 months. And I'm like, okay, sure. And it's like, well, it's Miracle, and it's a token, but you just download this app, and then I'll show you how to transfer the tokens to us, and then you can walk out with your phone today. I'm in, because I want the phone. I'm not really looking to get tokens. I'm not looking to get into crypto. But if crypto is going to help me get the phone, I'm going to go into crypto. So that was sort of what I was talking to Hakan about at the time. And I said, wow. And I had actually been involved in a company. Probably Bud is on the call right now. And I remember going with a similar type product, and I was going to tire shops, and I was offering tire shops a way to fund their customers to buy the tires. And I remember how difficult it was for the tire shop to qualify for the program. They would be like, yes, we want it. And then, yeah, let's fill out these things. And then it was sort of like, okay, no, you can't do it. And then there was other issues. But I knew and understood that the power of being able to fund a customer at the time of they're looking to shop at your establishment is worth a tremendous amount of money. So I was like, okay, Huck, and I see what you're saying. And he said, and at that time we weren't really even really talking about the other side of it, which is now what we're going to talk about tonight. It's the credit side of things. And so as we were doing things, we had long talks about Web3 and banking to unbanked and how a lot of people in the world they don't even they still use paper money and coins, and we're just like, okay, so there's just billions of people out there that are not involved in this modern, world of finance. And one of the biggest parts of this is credit. If you think about, like, everyone who's on this call that has a house probably didn't pay cash for their house. Everyone that's on this call, most people didn't pay cash for the car. Some, of course, did, but most people are financing their car. Probably everyone that's on the call today, most of you did not even pay cash for your phone. So think about how normal and how common that is in our world. And it allows us to get those things that we don't have the full liquidity to get today, but we can get them. And we need a dependable car. We need a better house in a better neighborhood. We need a better phone. And so that whole thing then puts us in this new world. So then one day we just had that conversation, and I just said, what is it, like, all this stuff that I've been doing in Web3, I can't show that to someone if I'm looking to do something like buy a house. Um, I have $500 in my bank account, and then I have 300,000 in my MetaMask. These scenarios are very common nowadays. And he's like, building a credit system for Web3 is a big undertaking, but it's the future. So we really should look at that. And then within a very short period of time, uh, it took off. And so now we have, and Bud just messaged me, IOLO. That's right. All right. So we're going to show you what we have built. It is just amazing. And it makes so much sense. And I'll talk about the business of this industry. It's data that leads to being able to be approved and get funded for whatever. Now I need someone to say that they see the screen and it's looks all right to you.
Looks great, Michael. We see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So here's a little bit of education on this, So as we evolve further and further into this world where a lot of things are happening on the blockchain. And can you guys comment a little bit on, just, have you had an experience where you've had a hard time going the traditional way and paying something, and then you did it with crypto, and it was like a completely like so much easier? Have you been frustrated in this sort of legacy financial system? Uh, you know, uh, if you agree that system is really challenging and frustrating, type yes in the chat, because I've had so many moments where it's like, you know, please, can they just send crypto? It's so much easier. Okay, so I'll take you through this. So now there is, all over the world, there's different companies that do this. They have systems that you're tied into, and you're analyzed based on your activity, paying off loans, money you make, just different types of banking activity gives you a sort of score. And most of the people in the US, I imagine, know what their score is. And it's always like the higher your score is, it saves you money. It allows you to do things in a better way. It's an important thing. And when your score is down, I'm sure there's a lot of you who've had a bad score, and it takes years to get back, and it's painful during those times because you just end up paying so much more for things that you need. So the score thing is really, really a big deal. And um, uh, companies that are in the business to make money off of lending money are looking at this, and the better information they can get, the the less um, unsatisfied loans they'll have, the more business they can do. And so they do deals with Experian and Equifax in Germany. There's Schufa, and in South America there's different. And all of this happens, and we sort of know, how much credit you have and how many cards you have and what percentage of your credit are you using, and it all means something, and it makes your credit score either increase or decrease.
Mike, I'd hate to interrupt, but the screen is too large. It has to be reduced a little bit more.
How about this now?
There we go. That's it. We got it.
Okay,
Dynamite.
it's on a okay, let's do this. Okay. All right. So now we've talked about what we know. So let's go into maybe something that um, opens up a new world here. So we have Web3 credit intelligence. So Score ID, it analyzes on-chain blockchain behavior to create a fully usable, highly predictive credit profile. So I don't know how they figure this out, but it's how you behave, like with your wallets and sending and receiving and exchanges. All of that gives like this tendencies, and it's just billions of points of data that gets analyzed by AI, and it comes up with, risk patterns and behavioral trust signals. Transaction consistency, you have exchange activity, payment reliability, DeFi repayment. And for those of you who are not aware, there's various ways of borrowing against crypto already. So there's behaviors in that gets analyzed. And we actually invested a pretty large amount of money to basically shape this algorithm. And there was 20,000 accounts that we invested in to make this algorithm be accurate. So how is that done? You have like we spoke about this, but so there's what you have now. So any institution that wants to give you some kind of credit, they'll go to the legacy scoring, and there's your bank behavior, how you pay your loans, existing loans, and how much credit you have, and all that. So that's all in that world. Now, what we have is we have done deals with all of those data suppliers. So we have that, but we're adding Web3 into it, and then we're mixing those two worlds together. However, we have looked and analyzed our score accuracy without traditional scoring, and we've been able to make that comparison. I'll share that in a second. But when you blend these two together, with me, for instance, I have a traditional score, but when they blend my crypto score with the traditional score, they'll get much more data on me. And the institutions who give credit, they want to know about this, but until now, they haven't been able to. So imagine someone, who bought a bunch of Bitcoin, back in 2011 for $1, who's sitting with a bunch of it, and they're looking to go out and get a house, and then they'll get a loan at 6.2% because they're looking at the legacy score. Had the bank known that they were sitting on, I don't know, $3 million worth of Bitcoin, it may have given them a better loan, a better rate. And the bank would love to know, oh, well, this person has been sitting on this like gold mine for a long time. However, that they're not able to see the specifics of it, but they'll see all of a sudden and go, wow, their Web3 score is 812, but their legacy score is 712. So we will put them much higher because of that. That information is worth a ton to the institutions who are looking to know more about their borrowers. So then we did that. We took 20,000 accounts. So we hired a company to give us that. Then we ran this predictive algorithm from Web3, and we were right 8 out of 10 times. And that is the first step. And as we do this continuously over time, that 80% goes to 100%. Then the 100% goes over 100%, which means that anytime an institution uses our blended score compared to just the legacy score, they get better information from us than they do from the traditional only score, if that makes any sense. And as more and more people enter into Web3, which is what we're predicting, and it's what the world is predicting, and we'll finally end up where most people or a huge part of the world are regularly doing things in Web3, then this becomes a must for all institutions that are involved in giving credit. So then how did we do this? Well, it's not like we just said, okay, we're going to get into credit and we'll do it ourselves, and we'll just get some smart people, and they'll figure it out. It's not reality. There's been a couple of projects in Web3 that have made an attempt, or they've taken a stab at it, but because this is such a highly specific industry, and it takes just a lot of insight and experience. We, through Hakan being involved in the industry when he was in banking, meeting Paul Randall, knowing that he was the CEO for Credit Info. You should go look up, that company. They're huge. And, working with also these other leading companies in the industry like Experian and Scorex. And, we had to go in and pitch Paul to come to us. He's coming from one of the bigger credit companies in the world to come do a project with us. And we had to show him the vision and say, hey, listen, if we pull this off, this company could one day grow even bigger than the ones that you're working on. And of course, we have to say, and then of course, there's a piece in this success for you. And after begging him for a while, he decided to come on in and be the role of creating this amazing new credit blended score system with the company we now know as Score ID. So he's had 35 years of mastery, decades of highly specialized experience as a mathematician and risk manager in global credit scoring and analytics, former CEO of Credit Info, decision with foundational senior roles at Scorex and Experian. And so the mission here is bridging his unparalleled expertise in traditional retail and bank lending into the Web3 ecosystem to build the ultimate digital lending strategy, integrating the rigorous standards of global credit bureaus with vast behavioral data of the blockchain. So one of these things is if you can envision that, and this is a story that I heard a long time ago, and it really made me understand something that I just hadn't understood before, where, we get so wrapped up in how the world is in our reality, we don't realize that the world for someone else, somewhere in some village, I'm not going to say a country or whatever, it doesn't matter, but it's very simple living. And, you have a person who could get literally $100 loan, buy some tools like brush, comb, scissors, maybe a clipper machine, and start a business as a barber for 100, but they don't have the 100. They could maybe, at some point do a few things with their Web3 wallet, qualify to start off with maybe a $10 funding that they pay back over 2 or 3 weeks to get that trust to go to 20, or to get the trust to go to 50, and to then be able to access liquidity like they haven't before. It could be someone who just needs a solar panel to run a light in their hut so that their kids can study for school when it's dark and they don't have to do a live flame or kerosene, which is maybe poison. I mean, there's so many different scenarios across the world that a Web3 credit system can solve. And I've seen stories about this, and there's a huge need throughout the world to bank the unbanked. And what is the biggest part of being banked is credit. So you have an incredible utility here with the token that we're going to talk about today. Every credit decision improves with better data. Demand instantly bridges both worlds. So you have your demand from your traditional institutions that will come. So clients will be huge institutions like banks and credit card companies, exchanges, and some of these buy now and pay later that want to know this information so that they can extend credit to their people. But then you have internally, which I was talking about this, it's the token on a payment plan. So that's us. So someone goes online, they go to shop, and then they find Miracle Pay. And then Miracle Pay says, you can buy with crypto, or you can get tokens, fill out this application, you can get tokens, and then you can maybe shop more, So that's another way that we will be able to start bringing in clients. We will also be able to put out, which we will, marketing across the web. And it's, if they're in crypto, they want to know what their credit score is, come and put your information in, and we'll give you your credit score. Plus, we'll airdrop you some of these score tokens for coming in. And then now all of a sudden we have that information, we have that data. And I know 100% the day that they open, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put my information in so I can get my score. By the way, this is never going to be public information unless you want to share it or wherever you want to share that information. You control that information. It doesn't get harvested. It's basically you saying, this is me, this is how my activity looks, and it gives the score. It doesn't tell anyone what you have. It's just giving you the evaluation of what that means to someone who looks to give you credit. And then next week, I believe, we will have a collateralized lending protocol. And that means that someone who has crypto can go in and lend against the value of those that crypto. Usually those involve the bigger coins, the ones with the most market caps. So you're going to have your Bitcoins there, probably Solana, Ethereum. Those are a little bit more stable. And so you can actually put those in and then you can get a loan against those. And what we're doing now with the credit score is the companies that do that can also now use the credit score to be able to possibly, lend more or be able to use less collateral and get more funds against the collateralized loans. So why then the score token? Well, the score token is a utility token. It allows institutions who are buying the data requests. So when they do that, they basically buy, let's say you have Capital One credit card, So when they purchase this data, they do it in chunks. So they may purchase $10 million worth of data requests. And so then they do it in one lump sum. And then every day they're doing thousands and thousands and thousands of checks. And when it runs out, they buy another chunk and they do it in bulk. So with us, they'll be able to do that. But if they buy the score token and then buy the data with the score token, we'll give them a discount. And then the consumer can also have the score token for incentives and various rewards of using the score token in regards to this credit. And there'll be other incentives through Miracle Pay to use score tokens. So this is it's a token for utility inside of Score ID. And what the company is also doing is that there's a tremendous amount of demand for this data on an annual basis. And so there's revenue, massive revenue that comes into the Score ID project. And a percentage of that revenue will continuously buy the score token and burn the score token, which means it will buy the score token and destroy the score token to push and to create more demand and to create a deflationary action on the token, which traditionally, with enough of that going on, then you'll have a continuous value increase from the purchasing and the burning of the token. That is typically what happens. It's not, again, a guaranteed result, but if you have 100,000 tokens and we go in and we buy 5,000 from the market and then we simply just trash those, then we've lowered the amount of tokens that are out there, and that typically has a very positive effect on the token. So the supply of the score token is going to be at the most 400 full supply. Most of those will be locked, so they will not be circulating supply. So there's a difference between full supply and circulating supply. And so when the tokens are locked, that creates more value of the tokens that are circulating. And then we will have a 25 million pre-sale amount of tokens for sale before. And when we go live with this token, it will go live at $1.50. Now, for those of you who followed so far and have been following Mirrex, we had a initial listing price at $1.25, and Mirrex has reached $3.50, which is obviously a really good result so far. And it's been holding there at 350, going up, going down a little bit. And obviously from the first price that we had of the Mirrex token, which was 25 cents, we're doing really well with Mirrex. And, you know, it being our second coin, we learned so much from the first one. And now we've learned a ton from our second one. And now we have our chain, we have our ecosystem, we have our contracts, we have this amazing company Score ID all supporting this token. So we are very bullish, obviously, on what happens to the value of the Score token over time. So we see this as an amazing opportunity. So we are, and this is sort of what we've always done. We know and understand that the strength of our company is our community. But it's not just the community, it is the success of our community that is the strength of our company. So as the company becomes more successful, our community becomes more successful, and it goes hand in hand. We are in a very intimate partnership as a company, as a community. So that being said, we are always offering the friends and family price to the community. Usually when token companies launch, they have these amazing concepts and you know, they're really good projects. They'll have friends and family, but it's really friends and family. It's you know, brother, you know, mother, sister, what, you know, kids. It's that's really usually the case because those are sort of a slam dunk in crypto. But if you can be in on the first lowest token offering, then you have a very high probability of having an amazing, successful upside. It's not always true. Obviously, you have to be you know, you have to scrutinize the project, and you have to sort of look to see, does this make sense? Is there a market for this idea or this concept? And I think we are like, you know, it's how on earth can we continue to move forward with crypto expanding across the world, where we have now over 1 billion people who are engaged and have a profile of activity in the industry, and no one has yet to bring a way to look at that and say, this is what that means, that this person um, sorry, I got Doug's calling me here. I'm good. It just there's no logic that says that this is not information that is needed, and we are now the only company that has built this platform, and we've already gotten our accuracy up to 80%, and we will get up to 100%. So then, if you want to be part of this, you can do so. And we have a couple of rounds. So this is sort of a thing that sells out. So if you go in early, you get the best price. And in the first round, the price of the token is 0.275 per token. So again, it's going to go live at $1.50, and the first price is 275. So that's like a 4 or 5 times higher price. I don't know exact math on this. I could do the math maybe. So it's 5.5 times, so if $1,000 in this price range, when we go live with the token at $1.50, then you'll have 5 times that. So you'd have $5,000 worth of Score tokens at launch. Now, again, I want everyone to understand this, that no one on this planet, on this earth, in the history of time can predict outcome. You know, does the token go from 150 to 5 that day, or does it go from 150 to 75 cents or lower? No one can predict that. But the way that we're doing it, we have a certain amount of control over price action in the early stages of the token, and we also understand how to launch properly. And again, at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the success of this, providing this data to the world, and the world wants it, needs it, and uses it. And we believe that there's no logical reason why this data won't be very desirable for lots of companies. So then for $250, you get 909 scores. For 500, you get 1,818 score tokens. For 1,000, you get 3,636. 5,000, you get 18,182. For 25,000, you get 90,909 in the first round. When that sells out, then the numbers drop a little bit because the price goes to 0.3. So for 250, you get 833. For 500, you get 1,667. For $1,000, you get 3,333. For $5,000, you get 16,667. For 25,000, you get 83,333. Also, yes, there are commissions on this. We will post the compensation plan a little bit later today or early tomorrow, but it is commissionable. Round 3, 250, you get 769. 500 pack, you get 1,538. 1,000 pack, you get 3,077. 5,000 pack, you get 15,385. 25,000 pack, you get 76,923. So a lot of people, they make the right moves at the right time in crypto, and a lot of people make the wrong moves in crypto at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. And this was really all about giving you kind of the ins and outs, giving you a fair assessment of course, I'm biased. Of course, I'm shilling the coin. And of course, I'm you know, uh, confident in what this is because my logic is all over this. Short term is always, for me, a little bit tricky to predict anything. The industry is unpredictable short term. We've seen people get wrecked in Bitcoin over and over again. We've seen people get wrecked in a lot of these projects. But I think what we are doing, it makes sense because we're putting ourselves in a position to service people in a very logical, straightforward way. Someone wants to buy something with crypto, we provide that service. A merchant wants to sell something in crypto, we provide that service. A merchant wants to sell more product to a customer, we now are going to provide that service, not just for people to be able to get a token on a payment plan, but also for us to do the part where they request the information on their score, and then be able to evaluate that, and then based on that information, put money in people's hands, based on how their activity is in Web3 and in traditional. So when you put all this together, what do you have? Well, this has always been not just a company that's looking to be sitting right there as the world turns to the digital transactional blockchain system, but to be in the middle of making it happen, to be right at the forefront of driving that mass adoption, and to be part of making that happen has always been part of our journey as a company. And as you can see, we have tied this into being able to work from home, create a career in fintech, build it around an opportunity um, that has real infrastructure. It has transparency with us, going public on the Metaterra, and us having our own chain. And so with this piece to the puzzle, I say many of the people that you've seen join Metaterra's board, this is the one that they're impressed by the most. Because annually, if you don't know this, it's anywhere from a quarter of a trillion to half a trillion requests for this data. And so just put a 25-cent cost, a 50-cent cost to each time they do that, and see how massive this industry is and the value that this data has. So that is what we have in store for everyone. I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek. I got a call today from Hakan, and he gave me news in regards to Miracle Pay that was like unreal. We have really, really big PR releases coming over the next week and a half. Um, Announcements of deals and relationships that we have created. And then we're going to kind of give everyone that sort of education on how this whole thing sort of works, what makes us now at this point the company to beat, what puts us in the forefront as the leading company in this space, and sort of explain to you, because it's kind of a game of chess, and we've been playing this now very aggressively for a few months. And so now we're going to give everyone sort of the landscape of where we are at, to understand how ahead of the competition we are. So that's what's coming next. Tokens should be live on the site today, if not now. I'm not sure. I have to check, but we will post in the groups. So there's a limited supply in phase one. I think it's $350,000 worth. So try to get in on the best price if you liked what you saw today. Make sure that you share this with everyone that you know. One of those exciting things is being able to get that multiple. It's a multiple thing, you know, if you can get 2x, 3x, 4x, that's 4 times the money on something like this. It's super exciting. I think we will be token will be live in June. Then, because this is how it always works, the first 2 or 3 months, the tokens you buy now, you can't sell them day one. You have to wait like I think it's 2 months or 3 months. We put that information out there. But you will hold on to this for around 5 months before you can liquidate it. So just keep that in mind. Then, of course, if you hold on to it, not for 5 months, but you hold on to it 2, 3, 4 years, the upside with a successful Score ID company could be absolutely, absolutely incredible. So with that, I want to wrap it up. I know we went a little bit longer than I thought, but at least now you have all that you need to know about this. And we look forward to having you enjoy the ride of the Score ID token. All right, everyone, take care. Over and out. And thank you all who posted about where you are in the world. It's all over the world. Yeah. Okay. Call's recorded. We will post as soon as we get it edited. So thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.